Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to your Weird
Weird
Week. Another episode in the life of this planet.
It's our weekly show where we kind of throw the cards and see if they pertain to any of the national or international or events of global interest or consequence.
Indeed. And so we will see first what happened last week that our cards may have glommed onto. Our recap of the cards from last week.
Right.
Our first card from last week was the Fool reversed, and that was the major focus theme for the Weird Week. And it was the Fool reversed.
Missteps, follies.
Careless acts, reckless acts, things you shouldn't have done.
We kind of have a feeling.
We have a feeling about some of these. I wonder if we should let's take it a card at a time.
Yeah.
We're kind of leaning towards the arrival of Threads and the ensuing Zuckerberg-Musk battle.
Well, I thought specifically the idea behind the Fool was the misstep of the changes to Twitter that were going to limit people scrolling and things like that.
Thank you, because that also happened last week and right before Threads was to be unveiled. A lot of people, but wasn't that last weekend it happened before we drew the cards?
Could be. I don't remember. The timing's close.
I think so. And so the thing is, though, but that happened right before, Threads was released. And it was truly a miscalculation on Musk's part to do it the way that he did because it angered a lot of people. Maybe, in fact, he had some good rationale for doing it. Some people could argue about that. But, and there were some good arguments about that, that his reasons were justified, that, there are some things that are interfering, AIs and stuff that are trying to scrape data and things like that. But it angered a lot of people who were already angered at him. And some people just felt, hey, maybe it's time to book. And lo and behold, what happens last week? Threads was unveiled and millions ran over to that platform.
It literally coincides with the idea behind card 2. What will we find out or what will we see? And it's the Page of Wands. It's like a good message, a message about opportunity or enterprise.
A new beginning. Starting a new beginning. And yes, it could be about networking, but it's definitely something brand new. And lo and behold, Threads was unveiled.
Yes, and it had literally a meteoric rise in terms of how quick social media has caught on in different situations of a similar context. It just really just went crazy that first day to 2 days.
All right. And so whatever you think of it, I mean, this is just the reality of what happened. So card 3, the Queen of Cups reversed, is what other perspectives need to be considered. And remember, that's the Tarot of Oppositions, the card that we can look at both ways.
A lot of emotions here.
Back and forth, between the two billionaires, for one, but also people. Some people... they really love Twitter a lot, and they don't want to leave it. I have my own feelings about, what we've done on Twitter, and to have to just abandon it completely. I'm not ready to do that yet. But, and there are others incredibly pleased with this development. Finally, there is competition to a platform, Twitter, that some people feel have been co-opted by somebody who just is mismanaging it.
Yes, there's clearly a lot of emotional spectrum here, and it could be, that people are really happy with what happened with Threads. People are not so happy with what's happening with Twitter, but maybe are still going to hang in there.
Card 4, the Hierophant, upright. Well, So that is about the overall impact. Well, it's had a major impact, but really when you stop and you think about all of this, we both talked about this and we thought, it really is just more of the same, more of the same status quo. Billionaires trying to make a profit on us, consumers, and we're getting more of the same.
Right. Despite the media flash, so to speak, at the end of the day, conventionality and or the status quo have been maintained, and that's okay. That's not bad.
Some people say it's too much like Twitter too. That's another maybe aspect of this because the bottom line is Elon Musk, for example, thinks that maybe some former Twitter employees that he let go, geniuses, went over to Meta and provided, trade secrets. So, I mean, that's wisdom being passed on in a way, right?
Unexpected consequences.
Unintended consequences.
Which is really more like the reverse hierophant. But
Musk literally gave them carte blanche. Go ahead and find your place somewhere else. And they did. And card 5, the Knight of Wands reversed. What would win or lose the weird week? Well, are there winners and losers here? I mean, at this point, they're both billionaires, right? They got nothing to lose, per se, except pride, perhaps, Elon Musk. But the Knight of Wands reversed is indicating that, there may be some aggressive actions taken, some arguments. And as it turns out, Twitter is, talking to Meta about, maybe you're cheating, maybe you've stolen our concepts, and maybe we'll take you to court over that.
Well, the other thing is that the image of the Knight of Wands reversed as the playing out as Twitter versus Meta, Elon versus Zuckerberg. It's kind of like some saber rattling, or dare I say,
in a way, it should be the swords, but
a pissing contest.
Let's say jousting with the wands. They're jousting.
I like my metaphor the best.
Yeah, maybe so. I like it. You did well. And so that's what we're going with last week. That's what seemed to be some of the biggest news, but there have been other things going on too. In Russia with Prigozhin and his fate and what's really happening there. Some shakeups with the generals in Russia and things of that nature. Let's see what this, and I don't think it fits the climate problems we've been having. We had all those hot days last week, but life goes on. People were littering on beaches and stuff during the 4th of July holiday, not caring about the environment. So maybe people don't care that the planet's burning up. I don't know.
However, we did kind of come across something on that in our unhappy hour when we said what's bumming the world, and of course this is was a reading for Global Affairs, and it did kind of pick up on that, so you can check that out if you want.
After our elemental readings, we do a reading for the world, what hurts in the world right now, and it seems as though it fits the climate change scenario. So check that out if you have a chance. It's available on our YouTube channel. And we're going to head on now to find out what's going on this week in your Weird Week. World Week.
That was pretty weak of me.
So we start out with my Twin Tarot Oracle, which is 2 major arcana decks in one. And one of them shows the upright version of a major arcana card. The other is the reversed version. Let's see what we get this week. And this card is basically, Mr. O?
It is the major focus or theme or tone for the week. So it is sort of implied that this may set the tone, may actually be a major kind of event, or what the focus of the week would seem to be about.
Let's check it out. Uh-oh, we're back to court again, and Supreme Court's not even in session. It's justice. Justice is upright. Of course. I'm
Indeed.
sorry. Yes, justice is up right here. I just realized that. I thought at first, no, of course, the card's
Right,
always
it could be
facing
the
upright.
other one, but
But the white borders
so
indicate
that
this is
tells
the
us,
upright
yes.
version. So, what does this mean? It looks like justice is being served. I don't know. Is something going to come out in one of the Trump cases? Or, and when I talk about the Trump case, I'm not necessarily talking about things with Trump. I mean, there are other bad actors involved in a lot of these things, so it could be about somebody else.
So, haha, titter titter, justice is on the menu somewhere here.
Right.
It could be a world concern, it could be a national concern, it could be, somewhere in between all of that. But what it means maybe is that there is a sense of an accountability or of a rule of law kind of coming into play somewhere. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's a big development with something. Maybe there'll be an appeal denied, something like that. Or basically a case will go forward in a major way that clearly kind of highlights the rule of law, coming into play.
It could be something else going on in the courts right now, too. I recall that President Biden was just by a federal court blocked from having contact with social media, whatever that means. I think it's to make announcements, like that the office, the White House, or whatever can't say things like this is misinformation, this isn't true, factual, and maybe they're going to appeal that. Maybe there'll be some other things that are playing out in the courts. Or in
So
the
now we're at
justice
card
system.
2, which is what will we find out or see? What are the mysteries? And so for that, we use the Secrets Tarot. It's a deck I've had in my collection a long time. I've actually replaced it once, mostly due to damage, but I read the heck out of this deck in an earlier phase of, doing readings for people. I really like it. It appeals to me very much. It has a somber, mysterious tone, so I think it's appropriate to discern what are the secrets or things we're trying to find out.
I like the colorations of the deck.
Yes. All right, so here we are then, once again. What is it we will find out? And it's a page. It's the Page of Swords, which, of course, could be a message, but is more clearly that maybe what we might find out, a thing that's being kept from us, is that maybe there's a level of cunning and skill that is needed somewhere that somebody is hoping to employ. It could be, working with the first situation, maybe somebody who either is on the side of justice or trying to seek justice.
Well, there you go. I think that this may have to do with the first card, that it is definitely something to do with the courts or the justice system or some legal matters.
Now, it is a page,
It
so
could be governmental,
it
too.
suggests the beginning of a situation, perhaps.
Well, or news.
Or news.
Concerning.
Yes, that's right. News concerning.
So I think there's going to be some definite communications here regarding legal matters or matters of governance.
And it seems to me like maybe it's about setting things on a real precision kind of sense, because of course swords are precision kind of orientation, thinking, clarity, and maybe this is about, establishing a decorum for the proceeding, whatever it happens to be, kind of like saying this is the way it's going to go, and it's going to be very orderly.
Card 3 is our
Tarot of Oppositions, a jointly owned deck, which we are looking at using this deck for the other perspectives that we will need to be considered. And we picked the Tarot of Oppositions because it is similar to that Twin Tarot Oracle in that it represents both sides represented of being a reversed or an upright card. But in this deck, they're both on the same card rather than the other one. It is a pretty interesting deck because you are compelled to understand that there is a range or spectrum of possibility. It may not be all the way to one end or the other. It may be maybe closer to the middle.
The truth may lie in the middle.
Whoa. And they are a stiff and hard deck to deal with, but we do what we can.
Okay, Mr. O.
Mr. O will comply. And it is the reversed High Priestess. However, we can also look at, her upright characteristics or anything in between as well. So, what are the other perspectives? Well, the other perspectives could be that this is a kind of situation that maybe from another understanding, the public's understanding or the overall understanding, there is truly a lot of range about what is either known or considered secret and maybe what is revealed and the appropriateness on either side of that. So maybe some people will say, well, if it's too secretive, maybe it's not really true. Or maybe we're talking about also the difference between common sense and maybe not having any sense at all.
Well, there you have it again, Mr. O. I think with that last statement, I'm kind of thinking that on the one hand, some people are operating out of a place of higher wisdom while others are ignoring it.
Okay.
They are not in tune with higher wisdom. They're operating from a much lower perspective. And I feel that that's on top, sadly. So I don't know what this means, but let's proceed. I think that it's saying that, clearly cooler heads are trying, smarter heads or wiser heads are trying to prevail over people who are not operating from a place of higher wisdom or altruism, even of seeing the deeper factors in this particular situation.
Well, the High Priestess herself can, because she's poised between two pillars, whether she's upright or not, is sort of kind of like an analog or a mini avatar of justice or other deities that have a binary pole between them. So this could also be saying too that it is related to the other things clearly, and it is really about the who wins, the war of which side wins because it is viewed as being more correct or more appropriate or truthful.
Man, I wish I remembered what I just wanted to say because no. I like this, and the thinking here is that the High Priestess walks between the worlds, does she not? You have to pierce the veil. And, here there's people who are unable to see that or do that, and those who want to dig deeper. And there's this push-pull going on here. But in a sense, isn't that what justice is supposed to be? Not this negative thing, not this harsh, cold thing, but a walker between the worlds, in a way to be objective, and objectivity in our legal system these days, and even before that to some, certainly people of, that are part of minorities that have been always maligned by justice in this country, from our Native Americans to our Black Americans to everybody going forward. I mean, women, seriously here, this is the thing. It just seems like, is there balance? Is there a balance between the light and dark? Are we seeing things objectively or not? Sorry. That's what I wanted to say.
I love that very much. I sort of felt drawn back to the second card saying what we'll find out is that we are really honored if we do have this, person who wants to observe diplomacy and protocol properly in this matter. Just had to throw that back in there.
Oh boy, card 4. So what is the overall impact? And I'm using my Healing Light Tarot for that.
land sakes, Ma, ain't those cards shuffled yet?
No. Although I did shuffle, I mix them up really well in the beginning. So before we start, I like to give them a good shuffle here, Mr. O. All right, I'll put them there, and I am going to pull the top card.
Ooh.
Wow. This is a real interesting week. It's the Seven of Pentacles upright.
Oh,
Seven
wow.
of Pentacles.
Look at that. Pretty card,
upright.
too.
But what does this mean, Mr. O?
The overall impact.
Should I be putting it down below? No, I guess
No, that's good.
fine. Okay.
We have barely room for the next one.
Yeah, I'm going to move this over. There's room to
Okay.
do that. So there we go. Okay.
Well, the overall impact, eh?
Do you want to go?
Sure. The Seven of Pentacles says maybe you're not interested in really moving ahead on something, and that could be a folly. That could be you may miss an opportunity. You may miss the right moment to prevail. You may be looking at something and deciding that it still isn't ready yet, but this calculation is possibly a serious one for you to understand if you are right or not.
I have to say here that I don't know if it's ready to give up or not, but there is definitely a pause. There's a pause to really decide, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
Is all of this going to reap some sort of benefit for us all? Or is it going to, rot on the vine? Our work and our efforts here at achieving, what seems to be justice or diplomacy, is it going to happen, or are we failing? Are we failing in this process? Are we failing ourselves?
I like the idea of seeing that as a pause, but the pause could be a pause taken too long. It could be that
That's true.
The considerations will leave something unharvested that needs to kind of be brought forth.
So,
what
final card.
Our fifth card. What could win, or maybe not win at all this weird week? And I use the Global Fusion Intuitive Tarot. And so we're looking at the possible strategies or outcomes. We don't know for sure if they really are coming, but they are what it looks like.
There's a lot of intellectualizing going on here, or thought, analyzing, stepping back.
Almost every one of those cards has an idea of thought
or wisdom
attached to it.
It's definitely mental or third eye. Oh my goodness. So let's see what you get. What do you give to us, Mr. O?
Global
Don't
Fusion.
give us trouble.
Don't fail us now.
It's reversed. It's we get a lot of court cards in the final position.
It's the reversed King of Cups.
Oh my goodness.
This will definitely not win the week, because I think this is somebody who's saying, I'm sorry, we have to have some tough love here. And it could be tough love for a number of things. If it's about the justice situation that we are hinting at, maybe somebody's saying, I'm sorry, sometimes people do get away with murder, or injustice, I'm sorry. This could be the way of saying, hey, we're sorry, but people have to tough it up. We have to let companies decide that you don't need to be out there drinking water when you should be back at work in that 110 degrees. There's a number of things going on with this card that look really bad.
Well, this does show a lack of empathy. This shows a lack of caring. This show, other than maybe for themselves. This shows a lot of, potential of somebody or a group of people acting out. So there could be a number of correlations here, really. There's a lot of protests going on in the world still. France is really undergoing some major upheavals. I mean, it's not just in Paris, it's all over the country. And, there are other different protests going on. Israel, despite the fact that I believe it was Netanyahu said that there would be no return to his supposed changes with the courts, whatever, that were put on hold, right?
Oh, right.
People are still protesting en masse, from what I've heard. And so I'm just not sure what to make
In this
of
context,
this.
from a thing that could be approaching all these other situations that B's talking about here, the King of Hearts or Cups reversed could be suggesting the idea that maybe people have to just suck it up, just take one for the team, and not and it's not a winning strategy.
No.
That's all I can
This
say.
can't win the weird week. Why don't we recap this
Yeah.
and see if we have any thoughts going forward? But as you know, we'll figure it out next week where this is heading. I mean, on a sense, could this be a continuation of the meta thing? Will there be a lawsuit actually filed? Stay tuned for that.
It's that wrestling match thing they're going to do, right?
I don't know. I'd like to think there are more important things in the world than these billionaires squabbling. So let's take a look at this now. This definitely seems to be an issue. The theme is about justice, fairness, maybe social justice issues come to the fray again. Maybe something happens that highlights that. You want to add?
No, it's definitely about something that's probably an important legal thing going on.
And what we'll find out or see is, there's going to be something communicated about this. Whether it's a lawsuit or litigation being filed, somebody being charged with something. Definitely some news is coming out. There may be some diplomatic things going on that we're not aware of, worldwide. Some concessions or something like that, if we're talking about what's going on in Paris or Israel, right now.
Well, when you are talking about diplomatic and tactful solutions, then it is possible that some people are finding it within themselves to compromise in key areas.
But this here, I think is really the key this time. The tarot of oppositions, which is what other perspectives need to be considered here, is how blind is justice at this point? How much can they walk between the lines, the crossfire here, so to speak? And can we get impartiality anymore and the wisdom that lies deeper than everybody's sides on a particular, situation or issue?
Right. It really looks like it's a kind of thing that maybe is almost playing out on several levels, like a public level as well as, all the other levels behind it.
And then, of course, we have the overall impact, which is the Seven of Pentacles. The overall impact is like people stepping back, taking a pause, I don't know, maybe could that be justice delayed? And, does that mean that then there could be some bad things happen due to that? Or does it mean that, we just really need to take a long, hard look at what we are doing here and what are our expectations and hopes out of this situation?
Right. What do we need to do to really bring it home?
And finally, what would win or lose the weird week? Gosh, it looks like a bust again. It looks like there's a lack of empathy and caring, whether it's related to the situation. People don't care, or people do care about their own, their own ego gratification or their own needs, and they're angry and acting out to make sure they get what they want out of it.
Yeah, I think we could be dealing with, of course, the usual kind of people that say suck it up or my way or the highway, those that feel they're always right and don't have to compromise.
So meta, Trump things, world affairs, like the different disputes going on and protests in other countries. Of course, Russia and the war. We're going to keep an open mind on this one and see how this plays out. But rest assured, I think we're going to find out something that relates to justice or legal matters or diplomacy. I'll stretch it to that in this next weird week. So until next time, and we have another episode of Your
Your
Weird
weird
Week,
week.
we say goodbye for now.
Bye.
Take care, everybody. See you soon.